11 is the Derby and the Oaks.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're looking at the plot, the pace picture is a little bit up for grabs in here. So I found that aspect kind of tough when I was looking at this race, trying to figure out the pace. Um, and then just kind of looking at run line. So the number 5, because on standard, sorry, can we go back to the plot?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
On standard, she looks like she's kind of got that pace advantage, right? She's kind of way out there, and even on surface distance, she's a square, forwardly placed. But distance concerns me because all those races that are, those Churchill races are at one turn, and she just kind of like I went back and watched and kind of seen some stamina stuff in there. So I was a little bit concerned just on that perspective, and I think she's going to have the challenge from 11, obviously going from the outside post for Boy Luis Saez and again to ride. So they're going to go to the front and be aggressive. So there's kind of your pace scenario. And then you have those horses that are kind of chasing behind with number 2. She's also cross-entered in the allowance race somewhere. 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. Okay. So the number 4, she's coming out of a common race with the 7. The 6, she's probably going to be the morning line favorite in here. She has like the graded stake wins at this point, and I think she's fine. Again, I'm not taking a lot out of the plot with her being a circle, but I think you do have to factor it in if she is the favorite. And where are we kind of at? 8, 8, and 7. And then 3 and 1 off the pace. Number 9, she's kind of one as far as maybe we need to pull up the grid on this, and John, you might be more familiar with her because she's coming out of Belmont. Just in terms of trip, because her last race, she's her 2 wins have been on the lead, and I'm not quite sure she's going to get the lead in here, but I'm also not sure she absolutely has to have the lead in here. And she's kind of got some class, right? You look at those 2 graded stake races, and again, there's no red keywords in there, and then you do have greens, from improve and kickback. And I thought her last race, granted she had the lead in there, I went back and watched that too. I thought she just kind of showed a little bit late in that spot. So I think she's a contender in here. I'm just not sure of like what kind of trip, and Rosario's going to work that out. Do you remember this filly?
Yeah, I think the thing is I don't necessarily think she's a need to lead either, but she was having problems breaking from the gate, and that's why they put the blinkers on, just to probably get her better. They probably just said send her, they probably were looking at this as a prep or something, and just get to the next level. So yeah, I think she could probably sit, closer. I would be worried that she doesn't break. That's kind of always been the issue. But maybe they've got that resolved because she broke right on top last time with the blinkers. So that might be a very positive thing. I don't remember quite how that track was playing that day, but I think sometimes. I think that week might have been a little bit. We want to be forward, so maybe that was another reason for the tactics. Yeah, so I agree with you. She's a nice filly. She doesn't really have anything, other than the breaking issue. She's got some backlash. She's going well, at grade 1 at Keeneland, despite the trouble. So if she's got that gate issue behind her, she could be dangerous.
All right, so let's look at a couple others. So we'll look at the 6, just as her being what I expect to be the morning line favorite. She's got that win on top. She has the win in the grade 3. Speed figures are all most recent in the 90s. So I think she's legit. Again, you've got that circle in there, but she's kind of part of it. I think is her trip, and if you look at her running lines, I mean, she's so versatile in terms of her running style. Like she won on the lead last time out. She's been able to close. She's been able to press. So I think that comes into play in terms of her plot. So again, legit, but I think there's other ways to go. Let's look at the number 3. I think
one thing about this horse too, I think she might have peaked. I mean, we always talk about the numbers, when you look at them as a 2-year-old. her numbers as 2 year old slow, and she really improved when she as a 3 year old. But I think she might have plateaued.
Yeah,
Which is still good
that's a
enough to
good
win, but
point.
I just
Yeah.
So what was
Yeah,
the other one?
which again I think is the number three, which I think there's other reasons to kind of spread a little bit in the fact that she is is a favorite. Um, another filly, so she is obviously like just kind of a two-turn type, has been pretty consistent throughout her career. Sort of improving for Dallas Stewart again. No red keywords, a lot of green, black, and some good speed figures. Now her race last time out at Churchill Downs kind of had the feel of a prep. I know she's bet down there, which I think is just kind of a mistake on the public because she was taking on older fillies and mares in there, and it was actually a pretty strong group. And Trip wasn't ideal, and I know it's showing that she's like 7 feet and 10, but it was actually like a big blanket for the minors with like the winner out in front. So I think she's a little bit better than a running line. She has upside off there, and we can kind of go back to the plot and see where there's contention, and she's a closer. But I think if those horses do kind of tend to bunch up, especially with those ones that don't necessarily want to go this long and kind of have to use their speed to get position, I think she can kind of get in there for something. I think she's going to improve off her last race, and could get overlooked off that running line. The other one I wanted to look at was number 7. I think she has some upside, but I am a little bit cautious of the last that keyword that's one turn. I'm willing to give her another shot around 2 turns. I thought that was a really good race from her, considering everything that went on, breaking slow and wide. Um, the winner kind of being inside and forwardly placed. I mean, she's just another one. I think one of those extended comments, maybe from the other race, looks like says something about her being a stakes type. Yeah. So I mean, that to me is like I'd give her a chance just off that alone. That is worth to mess around with. And the horse that finished in front of her is also in this race. I think it's the 4. Um, Maybe she'll be a shorter price, but I thought she had just a much more favorable trip. And again, you can kind of see both those horses had the B keyword. So, I mean the B optics grade. So, I'd mess around with the 7 before the 4 if the board's kind of giving a little bit more weight to one over the other. So, yeah. Did you guys have
It's
any?
a good race.
Yeah. No, both these races are really competitive. Yeah.
So, is it the 11th, the next one? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the devil, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have any opinion on this one, Emily?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of just had to kind of rush through it this morning, but again, just kind of starting from the plot, almost sort of the same thing. It's kind of a weird plot, right? Because you have those 2 horses that are in quadrant 1, and you kind of have everybody else that like looks like a closer. So I think you kind of wanted to start your handicapping with those 2 horses, because they might have a pace advantage. And it just kind of seems like the 7 Juggernaut having the lone and the no finish, the drop, maybe, and obviously the bigger circle, a little bit sketchy. Now the three obviously is a little bit more favorable, but class is a question. You can look at the grid real quick. I'm not going to throw out the 3 just because of the plot. I mean, just could definitely just kind of trip out. But when you just look at those graded stake races, he just struggles. And so class-wise, I mean, maybe, this being another grade 3 in his grade 3 race, he was extra wide in trouble. But just a little concern on that. But trip-wise, I would use. Let's go back to the plot just because I don't quite remember these other ones offhand.
10 plots well, pretty well. 10 and 2.
I don't
2
think
better because the 2 is more of a pressing.
Yeah, I didn't really lean to either of those in here. I think just kind of based on their speed figures and stuff.
Okay.
But the number 5 and 8 were the other 2. We can kind of pull up the full grid actually if we want. I mean, there's not a whole lot of. I'm just kind Um, I just think there's some upside with the 5. So one of the races at Churchill, I believe, he was kind of promoted to be to break his maiden through a disqualification. But when he ran the Smarty Jones, he was still at that time a maiden. So I think there was some positive intent there, and he actually ran pretty well with the wide and X flow, and then positive that he was able to come back and win with the move. Now I don't know quite why they decided to go on the turf. Maybe that was just kind of like a prep race, but he did improve the next time out and kind of showed a little bit more tactical speed in there. But also worth keeping in mind in that race is it was a 4-horse field. The horse that won on the front end, wire to wire. A good horse that people are interested in called Art Collector. An open length winner on the front end. So that was a pretty good race for him coming back there, and I think he could compete in here. Brad Cox trains a lot of horses, and I was also interested in number 8. I'm a little bit more concerned in terms of trip because he's kind of more of a deeper closer, but there just kind of seems, and maybe he kind of creates his own trips from that perspective, but seems like there's some run there. And I just wouldn't completely, kind of toss him out. As far as I think you talked about the 10 being one that had.
I just on the 8. I just those last 2 breaks, the 14th and 10th, that's pretty bad. Okay, yeah, and the 10.
So that was one that you said like kind of looked like a good trip.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But just like class wise, speed wise, it was just kind of looks below to me. He's coming out of that same race as the number 5 last time out, that 4-horse field.
Yeah, he hasn't really. I mean, he was really promising as a 2-year-old, ran really well. It seems like he's just now getting back to where he was last year.
He could be. I mean, he could be improving, but I just.
And then the 2, I thought the 2 plot looked pretty good. So we have turf on this horse.
And then a move, no line.
Yeah, that's usually not good. Okay.
Could be distance. Could be distance as well. Like the 2 turns maybe is not his game. Maybe he's more of like a 1 turn or that turf. Maybe that's what we're seeing.
Don't tell me this. Another Lewis says this guy. I'm mad. He gets around, huh? He doesn't care about Corona.
No.
Man, he's in Indiana. He's in wherever. He's at every track. All right, but those are 2 really good races.
Yeah, they are.
In the middle of the week.
Yeah, and as you can see, I mean, all the optics notes are in there. So, you guys dig in there and find something else. Shoot a message.
Really good stuff. So good.